Boone Meadow artists, Mrs. T here again. Today I'm here to talk to you about the artist Sonia Delaunay. Maybe I'm saying her name right. Who knows these days? I'm pretty sure everybody pronounces everybody's name wrong. In any case, hopefully you started off by watching the video. Sonia isn't necessarily one of your most common artists that you hear about. So in researching an introduction video, it was super tough. So I want to add a couple things. The curator does a really great job. She shared about Sonia's work, shared about a little bit into Sonia's background, but I just wanted to kind of share with you a little bit more as to what drew me into her work. Well, number one, I think she is a great artist to follow through with after learning about Picasso a little bit, because she was part of, kind of like that same movement that Picasso was, which was that Cubist or Cubism movement, only she was very specific in how she interpreted this movement, and her area of the movement is called Orphic Cubism, which means it's pure abstraction and bright colors. One of the things that she kind of pioneered in this movement, so to say, is the simultaneous contrast, or I'm not very good at saying this word, but simultaneism. It's the exploration between colors and how they create a sense of depth or movement throughout the work. So in her work, when you're looking at the circles, the way that she chooses her colors and the way that she chooses to lay them out is how they create a sense of depth. So let's just say she might have one large circle. Here, let me show you. I've got some circles over here. She might have this large red circle. I'm going to pull it up closer here. And then if she adds a blue circle in front of it, it creates a sense of depth. That blue kind of pops and pulls towards you, and that red is fighting, and it's kind of getting lost in that background. Now let's see what happens when we switch the color. So you got this bright blue, and you have this red. On the camera, it's kind of interesting because the blue really pops and the red kind of dulls into the background. Typically, it kind of plays the opposite. So I don't know if the camera kind of plays a role in that. Look at that, how the blue radiates in the distance. All right, so that's that simultaneous contrast. So Sonia was really, really into circles and bright colors. Hence my interest in her. In my personal studio work, colors, most important. And if you were to see my work, you would see that I use circles a lot in my work. For me, circles symbolize unity. They symbolize continuism, just that continuous rotation. I'm intrigued by circles, and so I use circles a lot in my personal work. So I have the example here of what we're going to be creating. I went a little crazy on this one, but this one is an example. We're going to go a little bit less crazy. I think I got a little carried away, but it's a series of circles and how they connect. This one I finished off with marker and crayon, and then this one I finished off with, I did a watercolor resist. So I outlined in my crayon first, and then I went back in and watercolored, and the crayon created that barrier, so I didn't have to worry about my colors mixing so long as I controlled the amount of water I had on my brush. When I used the watercolor, or painted the watercolor, I did use my homemade watercolors. I tell you what, I am super impressed with these watercolors. So if you haven't had time to check out the enrichment page, I encourage you, check it out. Make yourself some homemade watercolors. I mean, these are kind of my go-to right now. So I've really enjoyed them. For something you make at home, they're pretty impressive. Another option, of course, you could use colored pencils. You could do color in completely in marker. Just remember, markers aren't designed to color in large spaces. What I did here in the background is, you see how I did short strokes of the background just to help with the marker. And I did use two different markers. I used one purple for this side and a second purple for this side, just so that this first one could then rest and I didn't, kind of overuse the ink. Whatever works for you, but you do have different options of materials based on what you have at home. So let's get started on the project itself. Materials you're going to need: piece of paper. Doesn't matter what color. You could do this on colored paper, and actually most of the work that I've seen of Sonia's now, she paints. She's also a set designer, and she worked with fashion and textiles, so fabrics. But what's really, really cool is she is very consistent in what she would produce, and you'd see the geometric shapes play out in the fabric, in the textiles, in her sets that she would design. Her paint. So it was almost like she'd take that painting and just turn it into a piece of clothing. And there was one image I saw of her where she took a car. She had kind of like a dress or a smock, so to say, that was with these shapes on them. And then the car was painted to match her outfit exactly. It was so cool. Kind of crazy. But you're going to need paper. You are going to need something to make circles. So you have options. Maybe you have objects around the house, cups are different size circles. You can, if you have any lids lying around, I have a one of those really big, what's that called? Glue stick cap. And then I just have like different lids, so you can use those like we do in the classroom. If you have an actual compass at home, you can use that to make your circles. Or if you've visited our enrichment page, there's a activity in there where I show you how to make homemade compasses using either 3 sticks. You can use pencils. There's another one where you use a paper clip and some pencils. But if you don't have like 3 dowels like this to connect with 3 rubber bands, you can connect 3 pencils with rubber bands. So that totally works as well. So you have those, and you may want a ruler that because in some of her work, and what you can see in both of mine, I have kind of like a line drawn through them. You don't have to do a line at all, but if you want to, you'll probably want a ruler to make a straight line. Pencil and eraser are important, and then just whatever color you are going to finish. So whether it's markers, crayons, colored pencils, watercolor, you need your color materials. So let's get started on our circles. First and foremost, you need to decide if you are going to draw a line to help use as a guide. I'm just going to draw a line across my paper. It doesn't have to be straight across, just whatever direction you want. So I drew a line across my paper, hard to see, but it's there. Next, you know what? I usually do this in black pen marker, so we're going to do that. Let me redo this line here real quick, just to make it easier for you guys to see, because on camera it's really hard to see. So we have that, and then now, just for the ease of my circles, I'm going to use the lids that I have available. I will say, if you're using plastic lids and you put it down on your paper with the top up, be careful of squishing it, because it will change the circle. If you go the opposite and put it kind of like inside to the top, and then you can hold it in the middle and you don't have to worry about your circle changing size based on how hard you're pressing. So decide where you want to put your first circle. And then you also need to decide, am I drawing this circle as a half circle, or am I drawing it as a full circle? Once you've made that decision, go ahead and start your tracing. I'm going to make this one a half circle, because then I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to make another half circle. So I made a half circle. Now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to make another one. Just because I already have this stencil in hand, so I figure might as well. All right. Got 2 half circles. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some full circles in here. And a different size. So you're just going to kind of add some circles. This one I think I'm just going to add a half circle, but it's going to be kind of like a more... I was just tempted to say a more bigger circle. Oh boy, I've been out of school for too long. So I've got some circles on here. And I think in the middle there I need a circle. What do you guys think? I think I need one. So I'm going to add one. But I'm going to kind of add it out here. I'm going to have a little floating circle. Now this is your composition, so you by no means do you have to match Sonia's circles. Here now I have my glue stick cap and I'm just going to start adding some more circles to make my composition interesting. Remember, the composition is how objects are laid out on our page. Got that. I'm going to do one right in the middle of this circle. So, all right, I think I'm going to be done just for the sake of time so that you can get started on your project. So now I have my circles laid out, and now I'm simply going to consider my colors and figure out how I want to do this. My mind works best, you know, I decide what color medium you're going to use and then start kind of marking. So I think I want to do some red right here, and I'm going to use crayon. So I'm going to just kind of color in a little bit of red so I know I'm thinking red. And then I'm going to do kind of like a warm color, cool color play to see how colors pop off of each other. So I'm just going to kind of lay out my color scheme. You can color however you want to color. You can think of colors however you want to think of them, like match up. Just keep in mind your color wheel. And then go back in and finish up your colors however you're going to finish it. Remember, you're not required to share your finished work, but if you would like me to see your work, and I'd love to see it, please just email it to me through Canvas, and I'd love to see it. So, hope you guys are staying creative. Have fun. Don't be stressed, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye, Boone Meadow!